It was a quiet Wednesday evening in Georgia. Theresa had just spent time with her sister, buzzing with enthusiasm about her new apartment and the new chapter she was about to begin. Everything seemed to be aligning perfectly for her. Around 10:30 p.m., she called a friend, mentioning she was heading back to the home she still shared with her soon-to-be ex-husband to grab a few belongings. She planned to wait until he was asleep to avoid any confrontation. But after that call, Theresa vanished. Her phone went silent, her car was found in an odd location, and the man she was trying to leave behind told a story that didn't quite add up. Unraveling what happened that night would take years, and the truth would prove far darker than anyone could have anticipated. This is the story of Theresa Parker, a Walker County 911 dispatcher, who disappeared on March 21, 2007 in Lafayette, Georgia.
She's one of our own. She's a 911 dispatcher. She's that person on the other end of the radio. When you're in need, she's there.
She vanished. Just telling her goodbye that night was different.
Born Theresa Fielding on September 9, 1965, in San Diego County, California to Claire and William Fielding, she grew up in a lively home with her 4 siblings: Hilda, Jerry, Richard, and Christina, the youngest. Theresa and Christina shared an especially tight bond that endured throughout their lives. Her devotion to family defined her. As an adult, Theresa's warmth and approachable demeanor left a lasting mark on everyone she met. Her compassion led her to a career in public service as a police dispatcher in Lafayette, Louisiana, where she excelled in the high-pressure role. Conveniently, Christina and her family lived nearby, allowing the sisters to stay closely connected. Theresa's skill and commitment eventually earned her a promotion in September 1992 as supervisor of the Emergency Services Center in Walker County, Georgia. It was around this time that she met Samuel Logan Parker, a local police officer born around 1956 and raised in Walker County. Samuel spent his childhood exploring the woods and fishing with his brother Kenneth, who later joined him in the military and law enforcement. To those who knew him, Samuel's identity was tied to his badge. He lived for his work. But beneath his professional facade, there was a troubling side. In the 1980s, Samuel was married to Kayla Burrell. By 1989, during his time with the Lafayette Police Department, Kayla confided to friends that Samuel had physically assaulted her while in uniform. One friend, married to City Councilman Max Morrison, reported the allegations to the police chief and city manager, but no action was taken. The abuse continued. In one horrific incident, Samuel dragged Kayla through broken glass by her hair and handcuffed her to a bedpost after she confronted him about a minor interaction with a store clerk. Kayla eventually escaped the marriage, but Samuel's aggression persisted. He broke into her new home, pinned her down, and held his service revolver to her head, threatening her life and warning that her body would never be found if she spoke out. Despite this violent history, Samuel began pursuing Theresa, who was unaware of his past. His charm quickly won her over, and he described her as smitten. To Christina, he seemed funny and courteous. A perfect match. On September 11, 1993, Theresa and Samuel married. Their early years were intense but turbulent, marked by deep love and frequent conflicts. Over time, Samuel's darker traits resurfaced. By 2002, he was at the height of his career, but their home had become a place of strife. On May 4, 2002, police responded to a domestic disturbance at their home. Samuel, intoxicated and furious, accused Theresa of cheating. Officers found the scene chaotic. Women's clothes strewn across the yard, Theresa in tears with a red mark on her face. She claimed it was a scratch and refused to press charges, asking only to stay elsewhere for the night. Under Georgia's predominant aggressor statute, Samuel should have been arrested, but the officer in charge took no action, later claiming he wanted to avoid victimizing Theresa further. The incident was never reported or followed up on. It simply disappeared. In April 2003, Theresa and Samuel attempted to mend their relationship with a trip to Panama City Beach, Florida. The day started with sunbathing and relaxation, but during dinner at a beachfront restaurant, Samuel's mood turned volatile. He threatened to handcuff Theresa, kill himself, and force her to deal with his body, possibly even threatening her life. As they left the restaurant, he fired his revolver out of the car window. Witnesses alerted the police, who found Theresa shaken and Samuel drunk and belligerent. He denied having a gun, but officers found 2 firearms in his vehicle, one recently fired. Samuel was taken to a mental health facility for evaluation, resisting the entire way. During transport, he chillingly told officers that his law enforcement experience taught him how to hide a body where it would never be found. After 72 hours, he was released and returned home with Theresa. The damage was irreparable. Samuel's alcoholism worsened, spilling into his work hours. Their marriage fell apart completely. In April 2006, Theresa confided in 2 of Samuel's colleagues, Sheriff Steve Wilson and another officer, about his erratic behavior, alcoholism, and the Florida incident. She didn't want him arrested. She just wanted him out of her life. Soon after, she filed for divorce, supported by Christina. Instead of despair, Theresa felt liberated. By early 2007, she was planning her future, searching for an apartment near Christina to spend more time with her nephews. Finding a new home brought her hope. On March 21, 2007, Theresa secured her new apartment and visited Christina, where they excitedly discussed her plans. But as they parted, Christina felt an inexplicable unease. Around 10:30 p.m., from her new apartment, Theresa called her friend and colleague Rhonda Knox, saying she was going back to the marital home to pick up some items, waiting until Samuel was asleep to avoid trouble. That night, Theresa Parker disappeared. Around 2 a.m. on March 22nd, Samuel arrived at the home of Christy Bellflower, a woman he was reportedly seeing. Using her phone, he called Officer Ben Chaffin and confessed to doing something to Theresa, claiming no one would ever find her. He warned Chaffin to stay silent or face consequences. By 5 a.m., Samuel left. Investigators believe he disposed of Theresa's body in a remote area near a river and hunting trail, a place he knew well from childhood. At 6 a.m., Rhonda received a silent call from Theresa's phone, which then went dead. Repeated attempts to reach her failed. Rhonda alerted Shane Green, a sheriff's deputy, who, along with Deputy Corey Griffin, checked the Lafayette home. Samuel's truck was there, but Theresa's SUV was missing. By afternoon, her SUV mysteriously reappeared at the house, but Theresa was gone. Her phone went unanswered, and even Samuel claimed to be trying to reach her. By March 24th, the Parker family filed a missing person report. The community rallied, holding vigils, distributing flyers, and searching for leads. Sheriff Steve Wilson called in the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, and Special Agent James Harris took charge. At Theresa's apartment, he found her clothes and work uniform but no sign of her. Search teams scoured forests, drained ponds, and searched landfills, but the vast terrain yielded no answers. Suspicion turned to Samuel, whose story about Theresa leaving due to their divorce had inconsistencies. The Parker home was searched multiple times, and old rifles were confiscated, though none were linked to the case. Samuel accused police of targeting him unfairly. Scent tracking dogs followed his scent from his clothing and patrol car, leading up and down a hill, supporting the theory he had moved a body. Still, Samuel insisted Theresa had left on her own. The officer who received Samuel's confession never reported it. Months passed with no solid leads, but evidence kept pointing to Samuel. A later search of the home revealed traces of blood, and forensic analysis showed Samuel's vehicle had been thoroughly cleaned. On February 4, 2008, Samuel was arrested and charged with Theresa's murder. He maintained she had fled to Florida or beyond, but the case went to trial on August 17, 2009. Samuel didn't testify, and his defense argued Theresa might still be alive. His first wife, Kayla, testified about his abusive past, and Ben Chaffin finally revealed Samuel's confession. Witnesses recalled Samuel boasting about his knowledge of the Georgia woods, claiming he could hide a body forever. The prosecution built a timeline of the murder, though the defense argued there was no body, weapon, or direct witness. In September 2009, the jury found Samuel guilty of malice murder, making false statements, and violating his oath. He was sentenced to life without parole, showing no emotion as Theresa's family wept. Christina knew Samuel likely held the secret of Theresa's remains but refused to speak. In September 2010, a farmer named David stumbled upon a human jawbone near the Chattooga River. Authorities recovered more remains and clothing, and dental records confirmed it was Theresa's. The exact cause of death couldn't be determined after years of exposure, but it was ruled a homicide. Sheriff Wilson announced the discovery, bringing closure to the family. The verdict stood firm despite Samuel's appeals. In October 2010, Theresa's memorial and funeral were held, attended by loved ones and Sheriff Wilson. Samuel, serving a life sentence, continued to claim innocence in a 2010 interview, but the Georgia Supreme Court upheld his conviction in November 2014. Theresa's absence left a void in her family's lives. They vowed to honor her by raising awareness about domestic violence, turning her tragedy into a call to action.
If you see somebody who is being subjected to domestic violence, you don't need to say, I don't want to get involved. You don't need to say, this is none of my business, because that person could be the next person who gets hurt very badly or who gets killed. And a lot of times with domestic violence, that's exactly what people say. They won't call for help. Their coworker shows up at work with a black eye wearing sunglasses, and they won't do anything about it because they don't want to get involved. And that's what the abuser counts on. So the lesson would be, don't just stand in the shadows. Don't not get involved. If you know somebody that's being subjected to domestic violence, do something about it and help them.
You think there were warning signs all along that this was going to happen to Theresa?
Absolutely. And the hard part is oftentimes victims will appear not to help themselves.
She said she was fine.
That's
she told
right.
the police she didn't want to press charges.
Classic. Battered woman. Classic. Theresa didn't want him to lose his job. She just wanted him to leave her alone. But the mechanics of domestic violence are not that. That's not what happens. The way domestic violence works is it's about control and it's about manipulation. You don't get to just walk away. You walk away when I say. And she was walking away, and he wasn't going to let her. And maybe if some people had gotten involved and said, look, what can we do to help you? And people had tried to get her to leave. You know, her sisters had talked to her repeatedly. But I don't think she realized the depth of violence that he was capable of until the very last minute. And then it was too late.
He made it seem to me like he's the victim in this.
He is so not the victim, it's not even funny. He is the person who made that woman's life a living hell. She came home every night to him questioning her. Can you imagine coming home to somebody like that? You never know when you walk in the door, is he going to scream at me or is he going to be nice today? Is he going to be drunk? Is he going to be sober? Is he going to hit me? Who's he going to accuse me of seeing today? That is what she lived with every day. And nobody deserves to live like that. And when she finally got the courage to leave, it was too late. It was too late. It was too late.
Thanks for turning into True Crime Accounts, and please subscribe now for more true crime stories. See you in the next one.